So another day, another Anthem Cataclysm update is available on the public test server, and it seems that we're getting closer and closer to the official launch of the new update, which will probably happen sometimes this month. But in the meantime, we have to go over all of the brand new stuff that has been added in the game, and we have already covered about half of the 30 plus items in the upcoming update. If you haven't checked those videos yet, I've already covered all of the new legendary weapons and the support skills before, so go ahead and check those one out because they are pretty awesome. And this leaves us pretty much with the new abilities for today and the melee weapons for hopefully sometimes tomorrow. And some of the footage in this video has been provided by a very awesome and very active member that has contributed a lot to the Anthem community, and I'm going to post a couple of Reddit threads that he and his friend have posted about in the past on all of the new items in a written format if you want to do that. They even ran tests on the drop rates on the PTS and made entire guides on everything Cataclysm related. So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this. If you do, a like would be super appreciated, and let's get started. First, as always, let's begin with how you can acquire the new abilities and what you can expect from them. You get them, as always, from the new war chests added in the Cataclysm update, specifically the gear war chests, which are on a 2-day rotation with the support and the weapon war chest respectively. These are all upgraded versions of the already existing Javelin abilities, but unlike other masterwork or legendary versions, they are of a higher power level, have very fun and sometimes even extremely powerful bonus effects, as well as what appears to be way more improved bonus stats. At least that was the case for me, but you know, it might be a different thing for you if you get them. Currently there are only 8 of these items in the game, with 2 per each Javelin, but BioWare is planning to eventually add a lot more for hopefully each of the other abilities. So you know, let's begin with my favorite one, which is currently the Storm, and this class has 2 new abilities added for it called Steam Vents and Howling Veil. The Steam Vent ability is an upgraded glacial spear with a power level of 80 at the legendary rarity and a bonus effect that makes it deal both ice as well as fire damage at the same time. For comparison's sakes, the regular Black Ice legendary has a bonus that freezes enemies around the initial target, making it a very good crowd control ability. Now, you might be looking at the damage on both of these items and see Black Ice listing a higher number than Steam Vents, for example, but in reality things are slightly more different, and by that I mean way more different in the advantage of Steam Vents. As in, Steam Vent does significantly more damage than not only Black Ice, but probably any other skill I currently tested on GM1. It's the only skill I currently have that can one-shot enforcers or completely go through shields, at least on Grandmaster 1 as I was saying, and I believe that is the case because Steam Vent has 2 damage dealers into one single ability, which are the fire and the ice damage, so it essentially does double damage by default, making it an excellent single target damage dealer. Also, because I was very lucky to roll one with 200% charges increase, I can pretty much spam this non-stop and the results are pretty much ridiculous, as you can see. The second one for the Storm you probably already saw in a previous video I made, but this one is an upgraded lightning strike that also leaves an electric field on the ground that deals bonus damage and primes targets inside of it for detonation. Right off the bat, I want to mention that this is a much better bonus than the boring Ponder Infinity bonus, which just gives you a flat out buff to electric damage. What I like most about it though is the fact that its cast time seems to be way shorter than the regular ability, or at the very least the time between you pressing the button and the skill hitting the ground is almost instantaneous compared to the slight delay the previous ability had. Outside of that, you probably already know how much I praised this skill in the past, so I'm not going to spend any more time talking about it. Moving on to the Ranger, the 2 new skills you can get are the Arctic Tomb and the Relentless Pursuit. The first one is something I've talked about in the past, so I'm going to be quick about it. It's an upgraded frost grenade with the added bonus of making frozen enemies explode and freeze others around it nearby. This is a much better fit for this ability in my opinion compared to the previous legendary that only gave you, I believe, a melee damage buff. For some reason it definitely didn't fit the theme, but this one definitely does. Regardless, I found the skill to be extremely powerful against big groups of enemies where you can just chain freeze everybody with just one single grenade and then spread that with a detonator. And that is because once you detonate a target frozen by the initial grenade, the frost explosion explosion then causes the other targets around it to also get frozen and as well primed in the process for further detonation, so it's definitely extremely powerful. Also, the bonuses are pretty big. It kind of makes the Ranger behave a little bit like a storm, as in spreading primers to other targets around it, not only to the initial one, and I'm also a big fan of the quality of the effect itself. Now, the next footage I have is for the Relentless Pursuit ability, and everything from here on has been provided in video format by the user I've mentioned in the intro. This skill is an upgraded Pulse Blast, essentially a combo detonator that has a bonus effect that makes the initial blast to also bounce up to 3 times between nearby targets. The best part about it is that all of the bounces act as individual combo detonators, which means that if you prime 3 targets, each one of them will be detonated individually, meaning that you can do some serious AoE damage all around them, and it's basically a huge DPS increase just because of this. But as you would expect, hitting targets that are otherwise not primed will only deal the skill's base damage, but even that is still pretty significant and probably much better than the initial legendary version of this item. Moving on to the Interceptor, the 2 new skills are Specters Flash and Tesseller Trap. Specters Flash is an upgraded Wraith Strike that now detonates aura combos, essentially making this into a detonator ability, which wasn't the case before. The previous upgraded version of this ability wasn't acting as either a detonator nor a primer, it was just a straight out damage dealer. It works pretty simple, you just throw it at the prime targets to benefit from the bonus, which is the detonator component, but you will sacrifice not being able to throw 2 ghosts at the same time, which was the case with the other legendary version of this item. So you have to decide if you're going for straight up damage at the cost of combos, or focus more on combos and use this ability over the other. Tesseller Trap is the other Interceptor ability that previously had no combo type, but with the new bonus, it now becomes pretty much a primer. The bonus makes the mine to now deal electric damage and also electrify the targets, essentially priming them in the process. It's not too bad because the skill already had enough damage, it's just that it lacked combo abilities that made it so undesirable, but with the new bonus effect, I can see more people using it more than ever before. Finally, there's the Colossus with its own skills called Again and Again, and the other one called the Venom Storm. The first one is an upgraded siege artillery that now detonates a second explosion briefly after the first one. It's basically another 2 attacks ability baked into one, which makes it quite powerful while still retaining its combo detonation ability. I'm not sure how it stacks against the best defense, which is the other legendary version of this item, and arguably one of the best Colossus abilities out there. Personally, I would rank best defense higher, even though it means losing on some DPS, simply because the heal on that one is simply too good to pass. Still, Again and Again can be a good situational item when, for example, healing is not needed and more DPS is more required. The final skill is called Venom Storm, which is an upgraded burst mortar that fires a volley of 8 acidic rounds, and I will admit that this is one of the more ridiculous and quite OP skills I've seen so far for all of the classes, not just the Colossus. Basically, what this does is it shoots those 8 rounds, and each round will poison and prime the target that it hits, meaning that the subsequent rounds will then detonate the previous ones in what looks like a semi-continuous massacre. I'm not even kidding you, this looks absolutely crazy. The only downside I can think of here is the rather small area of effect, and maybe the fact that you can't readjust the trajectory in the case of enemy movement, but if you're fighting against targets that don't move too much or you know how to position yourself, this ability is going to be just crazy. I mean, just look at this, there's just continuous combo detonations over combo detonations, and it just makes the Colossus that much more menacing and, well, massacre-like as it was supposed to be. Finally, I also want to quickly cover the latest Cataclysm update, which seems to have improved the rewards by quite a bit. There's some Javelin specific challenges now that provide war chests upon completion, though there is some UI bug that prevents them to be displayed, but rest assured you will get them once you complete them. There's also challenge rewards that provide rewards from the new item pools upon completion, so the level 66 masterwork and the level 80 legendaries, and the seasonal store now also has vanity items added to it, including some wraps, vinyls and emotes on top of the war chests, which which is really awesome. This means that we will no longer have to rely on coins to spend them on the shop to buy these new wraps, for example, and many of the wraps that I saw in the past were pretty damn good and I wanted to purchase them, but I never had the funds. Now hopefully I will be able to do that by just completing the Cataclysm event. I've also noticed a few other changes as well, like for example the UI health bar and such being slightly redesigned and readjusted. There's also other challenges that provide larger crystals as well as vanity stuff, so this should mean that we can get war chests much easier, and I think that should solve some of the loot problems because these loot chests continuously get very good items in them. So yeah, that is it. I think with that we have covered everything newly added in the Cataclysm update. What we have left now are pretty much the melee attacks, over which I'll drop a video sometimes tomorrow hopefully. Again, huge thanks to Aqua for providing me the footage he had. Now tell me down below which of these skills did you like the most and what are you planning to use when it drops to the live servers. Comment down below, and in the meantime leave a thumbs up on this video if you enjoyed it. Also subscribe and hit that notification bell for more awesome content like this, and I will see you guys next time.